Mafia, are you ready?
He said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome, everybody, to Brotherly Love Wrestling. And on today's show, we have a returning guest, friend of the show. We have the one and only Mac Daddy, Ron Starr. Ron, welcome back to the show.
Hey, brother. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here. Appreciate it.
So Ron, last time we had you on was, I think Larry and I were talking about this. I want to say better part of 2.5, 3 years ago.
Yeah. That was my second time on. I remember being on I was the first interview.
Yes.
You were.
Yep.
And then maybe a year after that, I came on, you know.
Yeah, because I believe it was right after a SmackDown, because I think we all went to a SmackDown in Philly, and
yes,
we talked about that.
Yeah. And just to give it some precipice, it's been 4 years since my surgery, and I think I talked to you guys for the first time right after I had my surgery. So
yes, you did.
So that's 2017. So it's 2021. Jesus, I'm old. but you know,
we've all grown a lot in those 4 years.
Yeah, awesome, bro. I'm just want to say I'm super duper proud of you guys keeping the podcast going. You know, I've seen you've been in touch with some people who I consider friends and family, namely Devontae. I love that dude. I mean, there's so much stuff, and I'm really proud of the progress you guys are making.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Oh, anytime.
So the one of the main reasons we wanted to have Ron on, and because we saw this pop up, Ron let us know this was coming to our area, and an event that Ron will be wrestling in, which we can't wait. We haven't seen Ron wrestle, I think, in a long time, since the Boys and Girls Club in Northeast was the last time we saw you wrestle. Yeah. So to see you on this card that you sent us is the 13th of November, not this Saturday, the next Saturday, and it's Pro Wrestling Revolution and presents The Definition.
Well, it's actually Pro Wrestling R is the name of the actual promotion. Okay, but it's also called Project Wrestling Revolution because this actually has been a labor of love for me. You know, this has been an idea that's been in process for years, and I wanted the right opportunity, the right time, and the right environment to bring this out. I've always believed in giving back and lifting up those who came behind me and putting them on my shoulders and giving them a chance and a platform and some place to shine. And I think what I'm going for with this event is I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term unsigned hype when it comes to hip hop. They always talk about these kids who are the new up and comers, guys who are killing it in the game, and maybe they don't have the exposure that could like really catapult them or launch them to that next stratosphere, but they're killing it in the game. And some of the talent that I've gotten that we've assembled for this card, some of the best in the game, and it's all generations, all styles, just from all over the place. Like primarily the Northeast, New York, New Jersey, Philly. You know, this kids who I think really deserve that spotlight, and really deserve a chance to shine. For instance, kid named Adam Kane. Adam Kane he's a comer, man. He's good kid. You know, he was brought to my attention by Shannon Hunter, the agent Shannon Hunter. She brought him to my attention, and every time I've asked him to come out, you know, even with the other promotion that I've been handling booking duties for, Alpha Omega Kingdom Wrestling, he has always performed at the top of the card. Just amazing young talent, and I just think, you know, I love to give some of these younger kids an opportunity to really, really shine. And he's one of those ones I really see in the future for this game. Guy named Isaiah Wolf, also from New York. He's another one. And I mean, like I said, the talent that I have on this card, it's just the beginning. There's so many people that I'm in touch with, people who are Ring of Honor, Black Jesus signed to the NWA. I mean, there's so much talent, you know. I mean, and Jesus has been around for 21 years, and this is kind of full circle for us because in the year 2000, I met him, took him under my wing, and he just took that little nudge out the nest, and he has just absolutely flown. One of the best in the game, international, world traveled, TV ready, always top talent. Anybody book G's, and that's just that's his, you know. And people say, well, you trying to say I can't take credit for everything he's ever done. You know, I might have given that spark, but when I say he was hungry for this, he was hungry for this, and he just took advantage of every opportunity to learn, every seminar, every class he could go to. He learned from Skida, Quackenbush, you know, everybody. He was hungry for that knowledge, and look at him now. Look at him now. Totally, you know, 21 years in, constantly reinventing himself and making himself better. You know, and for me to be across the ring from him, that's pretty much the culmination of a dream match for me. So, you know, everybody says that one you can do, and maybe after I'm done, I can hang them up. But, you know, nobody ever hangs them up. But this is that one I could do and hang them up. You know, this is that one this is that dream match that I've always wanted. People say, well, who's your top dream matches? I said, I'll be honest, I've had 3 matches I've always wanted. Homicide, Steve Corino, and Cheese. And Corino, unfortunately, is retired. I still may get a chance with Homicide. But, you know, Jesus is one of those ones, you know.
Well, I mean, you're booking 2 shows. I mean, I think you got a good shot if you just book yourself against Homicide.
Well, and the funny part is we actually work together at Catalyst Wrestling in New York and New Jersey. So our paths might be doomed to cross. You know, the Carter group. It's myself, Darius Carter, and O'Shea Edwards from Ring of Honor. You know, we're the top unit in Catalyst Wrestling, and you know we're making a little noise up there. So who knows?
Darius Carter's been making a lot of noise in a lot of different places over the past year and a half, 2 years.
Darius Carter is literally he is wrestling's richest prize, and I say that. I say that with no it's no bias. Just I've been watching him, and I had the good fortune and the pleasure to work with him just a month ago. He worked against Kofi Kingston, like one of the most amazing matches I've ever seen, let alone a match that I've ever been in, but one of the most amazing matches I've ever seen. And the two of them, it was just. And it was, you know, and nothing against the high spot kids, because I think that takes so much heart and so much athleticism. Nothing against the high spot kids, but these guys just wrestled. And it was just like, oh my God. It just, and I'm in the match, but I'm oohing and I'm eyeing. You know, it was incredible to me. Incredible. You know, and
I see a lot of like Randy Orton-esque tendencies in Darius's game. A lot of slow, methodical plotting, and there's always a purpose for what he's doing.
When I first met Darius when Catalyst was still Capital Wrestling, I met him in the way he came to the ring, his dress, his mannerisms. I said, "You got this this DiBiase thing." It's like it's something about the way he worked, and he's such a throwback, but he's so innovative. And again, like no cap, just because I work with him. I mean, I'll tell a guy in a minute if I don't think they're any good, but and then I don't gas anybody up either. I'll tell you the honest to God truth how I feel like, and being fortunate enough to be working with Darius Carter for as long as I have for the past 3 years, it's you know really helped me to like really, because you know when I first came back to wrestling, I really didn't know what I was going to do. I was kind of over it, but like this has been the love for me for the past 4 years, and it's amazing to me that at my age, how it's so revitalized for me now. Because I mean, after the surgery, I could have just said, "Hey, I'm done," walked away, waved my cap, and just walked up to the sunset. But like, I was given a chance at Capital Wrestling. I was given a chance at Super Crazy Wrestling. And these guys have put me in a position to really still entertain and tell good stories. And, you know, some of the personnel they've given me the opportunity to work with has really revitalized my love for this thing. So, and to be able to work with guys like Darius, like O'Shea Edwards, like The Rep, you know, Homicide, Julius Smokes, being with Casey Navarro, these guys, stuff that I've done. I mean, when we did the World War IV match, it was me, Sonny Kiss, Ronnie Big Bang Nicole, Chuck Payne, and Paul Jordan. You know, just some of the greatest young talent working in that area right now. You know, just and we got the stuff that we did. We you know, working with Hot Boys International, we just had so much fun doing the stuff that we were doing. So you know, it's been a pleasure. It's been so much fun. And that's why I think I love what wrestling's doing now. You know, I love that there's so much going on, so much choice. There's so much availability, you know. And literally there's wrestling on every night of the week. Raw, NXT, what's the Dynamite, Rampage, even Impact has really been entertaining me lately. You know, and SmackDown, of course, and Rampage. I mean, so much wrestling. It kind of reminds me of the heyday in the 80s, where on Saturday, you could literally start watching wrestling at 12 noon, and you wouldn't be done watching wrestling until 10 at night. And it was so much on TV, world class, AWA, WWC, not to mention the NWA and WWF and UWF. There was so much stuff on TV at one point. Just so much variety.
Yeah, I think that's where we're so spoiled with all this that I think fans forget what it was like to only have one company and like WWE be it. Like we are so spoiled right now, an embarrassment of riches when it comes to professional wrestling, whether it be the indies or the TV wrestling. There is just you go crazy trying to watch every single hour of wrestling that there's actually on during a week.
And not to mention that the pandemic made everyone so creative. And I don't know if you have IWTV, but so creative, so much variety. Like I have IWTV, and every I'm getting this is starting, that's starting. Billy Dixon's Paris is Bumping, two of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life. Billy Dixon's phenomenal storyteller, phenomenal writer. Just two great cards. 2 years in a row, you know. Then you got Paradigm Pro Wrestling. You got so much stuff that you can see. Not to mention H2O, CZW, the Monster Factory. There's so much variety on IWTV, on the internet, on YouTube. There's so much, and I think to have the dialogue of, oh, WWE is done or AEW, it's wrestling. It's wrestling. Freaking enjoy it. Like, somebody call me a Vincel.
What?
A Vincel. Because
incel, that's Vince McMahon?
Yeah, they called me a Vincel. I said, wait, you're under the impression that I like WWE more than I like AEW. And of course, you know, he couldn't have been no older than my kid. But you know, internet muscles, you know, I'll smack the crap out you if I see you in person, you know. But internet muscles and everyone, oh, you're just a Vincel. And I said, bro, let me tell you something. I've probably been wrestling longer than you've been breathing, and I enjoyed this. Like everybody hated on the Ghostbusters match, and that was absolutely brilliant. And I mean, it was brilliant because they were dressed in Ghostbusters, but they they nodded to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was so much, and it was really well done, really well written. Especially the reveal at the end with Adam Page. It was so well done. It was great. And to see Coco Kavana, all these guys just really giving it all. And that was just, and I caught myself like, oh, this is great. I was like really, really digging it and enjoying it, you know.
All right.
You know,
I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer here.
Uh-oh.
The only problem I had with that is that I hate the world champion looking like that. Like I hate your supposed face of the company and the best wrestler in the world. I hate putting them in that spot. I've always hated the corny world champion look. Like there's corny in a sense that like, okay, you're supposed to be like this bratty, but like when you go from what you were to now, I mean, it doesn't sit right with me. It's like dressing Bret Hart up as the gobbledygooker and having him come out and wrestle.
Make no mistake, Kenny Omega is still one of the very best at what he does.
I do believe that. Kenny
Omega is still one of the very best. And see, you forgot. Well, you probably didn't forget. Kenny Omega wrestled a 9-year-old girl.
Yes, we do that.
I did know.
Yeah, that. And I enjoyed that because you know what he did. It wasn't about the girl; it was about the respect of wrestling. And I know you're going to be like, "What?" But there's a kid I just mentioned earlier who was doing the same thing. Kobe Carino was in Japan with his dad at 6 and 7 years old, wrestling with his dad. And no one cared about that. No one said a thing about that. And I get it, but it's still entertainment. But you know, I enjoyed, and just think with Kota Ibushi wrestling a doll, the same thing. I enjoy it.
I know. And that's why there's a flavor for everybody. They're just,
I mean, but we're not going to see, I mean, they're obviously paving the road for, Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega. They're obviously paving the road for that.
Yeah,
that's gonna be on the same night as your show.
Yeah,
and that's all. Listen, more than
they're trying to freaking outrun you.
No. I listen. I'm glad they're still around after 2 years. I really am. Like I said, there's an alternative, and that's the other thing people don't understand. I have friends who work everywhere. I have friends in NXT. I have friends in AEW. I have friends in Impact. I have friends in everywhere. Ring of Honor. You know, I love seeing my friends on TV. I love seeing my friends on pay-per-view. You know, the more the merrier. I want more of my friends to get on these national spotlights.
And that's the thing about this whole war thing. Like, there's a difference nowadays because a lot of the people that are in each of these companies, they're all friends anyway. Yep.
There was a movie in the year 2000 called Romeo Must Die, and there was a line, and they say even fake wars have casualties.
Yeah.
And this is more of a media war. These people don't care. I'm getting paid. I'm like, somebody told me I had a skewed sense. I said, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, when I look at my bank account, that's all that should matter. When my check clears and I can do the things I want to do. These guys are still. This is what they're doing for a living, and they also understand you can't wrestle at that breakneck pace all the time. Especially if you're trying to run every week on TV, 2 or 3 shows a week. Not to mention also in Impact. Well, at this point, he's probably exclusively in AEW. Remember, at one point he was wrestling in AEW and Impact and probably AAA too. You know, that's the kind of pace he was wrestling. You know, so you got to slow it down. You got to change it up because every match cannot be a 5-star wow fest.
Yeah, I mean, people are a lot more aware of longevity and body preservation than they were back in the 80s and 90s.
I mean, if you'd have told me at 30 I'd still be doing this at 51, I'd told you you're out of your mind. You know, just, you know, I would have told you were out of your mind. There's no way in the world I'm still going to be doing this and doing it better than I did it when I was 30. That's the crazy part, you know. But times change, things change, people change,
So, Ron, I do want to ask you, since you are, like you said, you're always an optimist when it comes to wrestling. You find the good in a lot of it. It's not a lot of wrestling I've seen you really be negative about or dislike. So when it comes to the conversation of professional wrestling and sports entertainment and how WWE or Vince doesn't like the word wrestling anymore, it's sports entertainment. You're not even allowed to say wrestler. It's always entertainer. What to you, does that bother you at all as a professional wrestler? Like, does that bother you, or doesn't it matter to you because that's just one guy's opinion?
Or
It's
do you
literally-
consider yourself a wrestling entertainer? Do you consider yourself a hybrid?
Trust me, I have found ways. I wore a diaper for 6 months on the indies. I did, because
Were you big baby Ron Starr?
and literally it was a punishment for no, and I'll be 100 about this. At the point, it was in 1997. I was working for a company called the Grand Wrestling Alliance, and we were young, and I really didn't know I didn't understand all the etiquette and protocol. And sometimes you complain kind of loud. And okay, well, this is what we're going to do with you right now. We're still going to use you, but it's up to you how you handle your punishment. And so I think it might have been a third or fourth show. We were at the Blue Horizon at this point. And so the booker and the promoter, there were two people, two of us there. I'm not going to mention the other person's name, but they said that we were both kind of running our mouths a little much, and I get it. It was and to give it some context, October 1997, there was a show called Battle for All the Belts, and I worked a guy named Jake Lawless. Jake Lawless was 7 foot, 300 pounds. He was cut. He facially looked like Kevin Nash. So, he probably not as talented or as talented as Kevin, but he did a power bomb as a finish. So I might have told the story about the ring breaking before. Mm-hmm. So that's the match where I got power bombed, the ring broke, and the fans went crazy in the building. It was on the news. It made ESPN's top 10. It was, crazy, but I kind of felt like they were giving him all the rub for it. And I'm like, well, I'm the one that took the power bomb. What about me? I could have died. But of course, at 27 years old, God, even say that. At 27 years old, you don't even understand. And when I might have been 2 years in the game, in the business, I didn't understand how things worked. Like, here, you'll take this L here, but you'll get yours on the back end. I didn't understand that because I was working the field. I wasn't like traveling like I wanted to at that point. I was, paying my dues, selling tickets, and my friends were like, "Oh, why are they clowning you?" But so I complained. I did complain. So and there was another guy who was complaining, but he was complaining that all he did was put other people over. So they actually had us work, and I put him over. And they did what they did was they put him over, but then they stopped using him. And then they didn't use him anymore. And then they put me in the diaper. And they wanted to see how I would handle it. And look, I'm about the Benjamins. Look, let's go. I threw a tantrum, I kicked, I screamed, and I did everything I was supposed to do in this diaper. And the promoter said, "All right, well, listen, I gotta admit, you really handled it like a champ. You really took it, you ran with it, you made it your own. And it really got us some publicity." So at that point on, they really started to push me to like I was the top guy in the company at that point. Like it was like, and I understood at that point. After that, I understood you sometimes you got to suffer some in order to get what you got going on. So I've always been about the entertainment, and you always hear guys say, "Vince tell me to wear a pink tutu, I sign in a minute." Maybe, people are always talking about, I ain't gonna do this, I ain't gonna do that. Look, the difference between you working at GameStop and you getting a check that says Titan Sports every 2 weeks, you know, that's you will get off your high horse in a heartbeat, and you'll say, okay, I'll be at the creative meeting. What am I doing? You know, and people, they can say it, but that's also the juxtaposition too with working for them, because they work a different way, and that's even increased more as he's become more of an entertainment brand. All right, well, you gotta be here for TV. You gotta go do your charities. You gotta be here. We gotta be here for TV. And then you get guys who ain't bumped since they had acne, and they're talking about, oh, why are they even talking about this guy? He's in catering. Man, you wish you were in catering.
I mean, there's food in catering, and you're getting paid for food.
You're getting paid, and guess what? You get paid to train and work on your body, and you're going to get your shot, because just because you're not on TV doesn't mean you're not doing the house shows. You're not on the road. You're getting paid to be there. You got a guaranteed paycheck. People used to laugh and joke about Brutus Beefcake. I said, do you know what Brutus Beefcake has to do every week to get paid? Go to the mailbox. Because Hogan made sure he had an ironclad deal that paid him for so many years. And that's what you do what you're supposed to do. You play the game, you get taken care of. And people talk about R-Truth. R-Truth been there how many years? And Vince loves truth. Loves truth. Look, let me tell you something. These cats don't even understand. They wish they could get half of what half these guys done. Same, and then it also kills me. You're supposed to be a wrestler. You're supposed to be in the know. You're supposed to be in the game. And you're talking about what you wouldn't do and what you hate. Bruh, where the Ghostbusters outfits? Let me be Winston. I'll be out there. Bruh, you want to dive with me? Come on, let's go. I'll be the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I'll dress up as a dog. You don't get it. You're getting paid. Oh, I wouldn't take that. I would. But again, they don't understand. A lot of them don't understand. There was so much wrestling at one point. Everybody was trying to get on, and even like I've seen the birth and unfortunately the hiatus of Ring of Honor right now. I've seen it come in. You know, I mean, and again, I got friends who work there now. You know, and then my man Caprice Coleman, he's taking care of his family working for Ring of Honor, and I get it. You know, they're going to honor your contract or whatever, but this is somebody's job. That's like the post office saying, "Hey, we've come to terms with Ron Jones on his contract. We wish him well in his future endeavors." Like, that would crush me. This is how this man eats. And suddenly, you're not going to have a job at the beginning of the year. Like, people don't realize these are still real people.
Yep.
These are still real people with families and stuff they got to pay, and kids that got to get braces, and braces are not cheap. I got 2 teenage kids now. Braces ain't cheap.
Yeah.
So so people don't even understand. This is how these people eat. This is how they, and they're guys who they do it for the love, but they still take it seriously too. It is what it.
Let me ask you this: going on that point of guys and girls saying they're not going to do this. Now, do you think a lot of that is them getting gassed up by social media, like people telling them like, oh, you deserve better. So now they get it in their head like, oh yeah, these people that I have never seen or talked to before, they're telling me that I deserve better. Do you think that plays a part of it?
Let me tell you something about social media. Social media is the greatest and the very worst thing to ever happen to professional wrestling.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. The greatest and the worst. And I've seen the advent of social media in professional wrestling. I remember being, I guess it was 98. I got an Angel Fire website, and I thought I was doing something, with the little blingy pictures and stuff like that. And,
Do you still have it up and running?
I tried to access it. I don't think Angel Fire is even a thing anymore.
No, I don't think so either.
I had an Angel Fire site. I had a Lycos page. I had a Hypermark page. Like, you do it. But then Facebook, MySpace, everybody's their own webmaster now. And everything is Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, And MySpace was great because you could put music on. Facebook is cool, but
exactly.
It's. I've never seen so many internet gangsters in my life, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Never seen so many internet gangsters, and
I've gotten to a point of where I find the naysayers, and I've mentioned this on other shows before. Naysayers and people that are just constantly like I'll use Charlotte Flair or Roman Reigns as a for instance. There were so many people that were so down on them that it made me appreciate them even more. Like I started to like everything. Like I would pay attention more, and I started to like certain things about what they did.
Charlotte Flair is nothing more than the epitome of her father right now. She is literally on that same heel level as her dad.
She can literally do anything.
Yes, and you know what? People hate on her, and I love how even like the Becky Lynch heel turn. Great. You need heels. I've always thought this should always be good guys and bad guys. You need good guys, you need bad guys. And people have hated on Roman Reigns since the very beginning. Yes. And right now, he's killing it. He's smashing the game right now. And
he's arguably the most popular or most over wrestler in any company.
But no matter what, when you become a heel, you become the biggest babyface. No matter what you do, the biggest heels become the biggest baby. Because Steve Austin was not a babyface. Well, The Rock was not a babyface.
No, they were all those edgy, supposed to be bad, but everyone loved them.
Everyone loved them. And even to the point John Cena was not a babyface. John Cena was I don't want to say the word, but that's what he was. When he first did the rap gimmick, it was just like, dude, I hate this guy. Like, then he does one movie and everyone loves him, and they should have pulled the trigger on his heel turn a long time ago, and they missed that opportunity. Yeah. Because could you imagine a John Cena heel turn when he goes back to the old prototype look, or the old when he first debuted with the shorts and the boots? And
not only that, but he learned how to talk over the years too, and he got so good at it. His heel work would have been the best, maybe better than anybody else.
I remember a promo, and he says, "Oh, bologna, fudge, and mustard." And when he said it, I kind of laughed like that was the funniest thing I ever heard. Because when you hear it, I was like, did he just curse? No, he said bologna, fudge, and mustard, but it was like the greatest thing. It was his 3 words that made no sense together, but it sounded like, oh, bologna, fudge, and mustard. I'm like, it kind of sounded like he cursed, but he didn't curse. And he's all shut the front door. Like, he's saying stuff like, to keep people upset. But it was so funny. It was brilliant. And like you said, he learned to talk brilliant. And like, even Roman Reigns, his cadence has gotten slow and menacing. And it's like, he's like, I'm going to spend my time to talk to you, even though I don't think you're worth me talking to. But I'm going to get my point across because I run this yard. Thank God he's the tribal chief. He's not the big dog. He says what he is. Yeah. He said, this, I am your tribe. It just, the way he is now, he is the quintessential heel right now.
Mm-hmm. He's got that slow Undertaker type delivery, and even his walk to the ring takes forever. So that pisses people off.
You know who he reminds me of? And this is a name from the past. Don Morocco.
Okay. I think I just watched the video of him benching 615 pounds.
Don Morocco was such an underappreciated, underused heel. He was a great heel. He was a great Intercontinental champion. That was kind of when I always
And
thought
he
they
had
should
the look too. What happened there?
after Snuka, they put him with Tito, but they moved Tito right to Greg Valentine, and they really didn't do a whole lot with Tito and Morocco again, because I think they were trying to at one point groom Tito to be the next,
Yeah,
but then
he was
I
definitely
think
over at one point.
Oh my God, yes. Tito Santana was probably one of my favorites of all time, and it was so funny meeting and working with him later. Like I met him in '98. We worked at NAWA in Connecticut, and it was like, okay, you're working here with him. You're not 13. You're working. We try to reel him in, But it was, it was really cool to like work with him, and he was so. And then like I saw him again up in York, PA, and he remembered me, and like this, hey, what's up, brother? It's really cool. It's kind of cool to be in the locker room with a guy you grew up watching and idolizing, and he looks at you as like a contemporary. That was crazy. Yeah, but Morocco always had this slow, menacing cadence. And when I get a hold of you, brother, I mean, he would just say it and be so mean, and he's just going to kill this guy. That's how it was. And then I think at one point they tried to turn him babyface when he was with him and Superstar Billy Graham were tagged. And I guess they were trying to make something out of that because they were both real jacked up, and they wore the tie dye and stuff like that. But because it just didn't really catch on, and then Vince was transitioning out of the older Carney territory, and he was really trying to move into that sports entertainment model, and that's why, and that took time, because I remember in the '80s I absolutely hated WWF, like hated it. The Red Rooster, that's Terry Taylor. What do you mean the Red Rooster? That's Terry Taylor.
Coco Beware.
Coco Beware. He is legit probably the hardest I've ever been hit with a chair ever in my life. He came into Philly for a Grand Wrestling Alliance show in April of '98, and somehow or the other they thought it would be cool to have him, because the match kind of really broke down. The cage was terrible. The cage was like literally falling apart off the ring. It was like a makeshift bootleg cage. It was like they didn't really have a cage for the ring. They just got cage pieces and strapped it to the ring. It was crazy. And then like one of the doors got open and people ran out. And like they laid me on the table and Coco just waffled me with a chair. And I was in pain for like days. But he was a legit tough dude. I wouldn't mess with that guy. But
I watched a lot of his matches before the WWF, and it's like, wow, this is what he could have been if he wasn't dealt that.
And they kept trying to repackage him. They even had him and Neidhart wearing the funny pants at one point. No, it was him and
was it Owen?
Owen,
yeah,
yes,
him and Owen.
Yeah, they were high.
They had
high energy. And
they had the pink and the green neon, and then they had like the Zubaz tie-dye pants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like, okay. Because I remember they in WWE, WWF, they had some crazy tag team combinations that like came and went. Because I remember X-Pac and one of the Headbangers, Mosh, I think it was. They were a tag team for like 2 seconds. It was like,
well, that was never.
They called them like XFactor or something like that. It was so weird because it was like kind of post Degeneration X, because they were repackaging Trips to be the Trips we know now.
Yeah, the game.
Yeah, Sean was out. I think China was gone by this point. It was just so weird. It was just one of those. And I even think Road Dogg and Billy Gunn weren't even doing anything at that point. It was like that 99, 2000, that really weird era before the alliance and the merger, and it was that really weird period. It was like, they pretty much won, and it was like, we won. Now what?
They were able to let their guard down, and it kind of just went.
Yeah,
went a little haywire for a little bit. Then thankfully, Ruthless Aggression picked it back up.
Yeah, I loved the whole Ruthless Aggression era. You know, I loved Angle. You know, when Angle he was probably the best wrestler on the roster at that point.
We're talking about hair angle or bald head angle?
Oh, bald mean Angle. Yeah. Bald mean Daniel Pewter will never do that again to anybody else, Angle. That dude, you know. And that's also about the time when the Radicals, which was a good time too, you know, when those guys came in.
Yeah.
You know, I remember meeting Perry Saturn in '97 at an ECW house show, and that dude just seemed like he would just kill you. He was really cool. I think Taz was a little more intense than he was at that point. But those guys were really, you know, just to see him on WWE. But he's one of those ones that he kind of didn't fit anywhere.
No.
That moppy thing was stupid because I used to love the Eliminators in ECW, the Eliminators and the Gangsters, Eliminators and the Dudleys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, still love watching the Eliminators. You know, him and Cronus got busted dead. You know, just.
I mean, they had a pretty good run with Raven
Yeah.
in WCW, like when they were all part of Raven's flock. I remember watching that. I liked that. And then Goldberg pretty much dismantled that group.
Yeah. I think there's so many ways they could have gone with the whole we bought WCW, now what do we do? I think in retrospect, I think he wanted to kill WCW because it was Ted Turner's idea. I think that's why he wanted to kill WCW, when you really could have kept it viable. And you could have had him on one show, Shane on the other show. And literally, that could have gone he'd have been collecting checks on both sides.
Yeah.
But I get it. His ego said, we're going to kill this because I'm Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I mean, like, who really came out of the WCW locker room and flourished? I mean, you had
Booker, yeah.
Booker T for a little bit. You had Eddie, but Eddie was already pretty much he was converted.
Well, yeah, but Eddie was also second generation too. So he was going to be a star. He was going to be a star no matter what. Same with Benoit. I'm trying to think who else.
Jericho.
I thought
Jericho came over before they got bought out.
But Jericho was
here. Yeah.
Because I remember when they said Raw is Jericho, and Vince, when Vince Rock says, "Who?"
That still goes down as one of my favorite promos of all time. Those two.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite promo? Is that it?
That's got to be top 3 for me. I don't know. I mean, there's so many good Rock promos that I love the Rock so much. Anytime
I have a favorite Rock promo. It was the Rock talking about Billy Gunn, and he says, "Dear God, it's me, Billy. I just won King of the Ring, but everyone says I absolutely suck." And God says, "Bob, my name's Billy." That was one of my favorite promos. And then the Angels call him a jabroni. That was one of my favorite. Like, every now and then, to me, that's up there with Slick Rick and we snack on danger and dine on death, and dead men don't get paid, and Hard Times by Dusty Rhodes. That's up there with those. You know, the iconic promos.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I don't know. He's had so many of them. It's really hard to, like, anytime he opened his mouth when he was like locked in, when he went from Maya V to The Rock.
And that was a hard transition.
Mm-hmm.
That was because he had to find his pace. But I remember, when he was Rocky Maivia, I knew him as Flex Kavana from USWA. Yeah. I was like, that's Flex Kavana. Oh man, that's Rocky's kid. Like when I put it together. So I remember watching him and him and Bart Sawyer were a tag team at first. And then I saw him work Lawler on USWA TV, not knowing that in a month he'd be up top. You know, because
he was thrown in there with Savio Vega when he got in there, right? Didn't him and Savio Vega have, like, when he was Maya Villa?
Yeah. Yeah, because was that the not the Mexicos. What were their name? Los Barricos. Yeah, Los Barricos. I think wasn't it Los Barricos in a nation or something
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I kind of, and everybody in Los Barricos was great, but I just kind of thought it was so stereotypical. I just like kind of cringy now, but
Here's the
You know,
thing. I always wondered this in WWE, and I know you're not going to be able to answer it, but between Farouk, Ron Simmons, how he never won the world title in WWF, WWE is mind-boggling. I know he's a multi-time tag team champion and whatnot with the APA, but like, I still go back and I watch when he power slams Vader and beats Vader, and I still get goosebumps when I watch that. Like, he had it. Like, he had it.
Listen, and that's one of the most iconic moments. As a kid, I remember that. And it was so funny that you wouldn't see another Black World Champion for years. And that's the other thing people don't realize about Ron Killings. Ron Killings is a 2-time NWA World Champion. And then you got The Rock. Booker T was World Champion. And then to see that within the last 5 years, you had Kofi become the World Champion. You've had Bobby Lashley become World Champion. Then you've had Big E beat Bobby Lashley to become the World Champion. And now Moose is World Champion on Impact. I mean, as a person of color, there are so many people I thought who were worthy of being world champions, but for whatever reason, politics, maybe the fear of the ability to get over, it's never happened. But like I'm looking at and same thing with Bianca Belair and Naomi. I mean, this is all within the last 10 years. All these people have held world championships, and I think it's good as a person of color, as a man of color, as a Black man in a pro wrestling game. I've always been told you're never going to mount, you're never going to do this, you're never going to. And fortunately, I have I've been blessed to be in this game for 26 years, and I've had great opportunities. And I think it's good at this point for young kids to see that anybody can achieve. And what Woods, the King of the Ring now. That's something you've never seen.
He lobbied for that and won it. And
that's good.
Like, he was the whole reason for that. If he didn't win it, there was going to be a riot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, same thing with Kofi. Like, you knew what was going to happen, but the emotion behind it was crazy.
Being there live was incredible.
Yes, it was.
When I saw it, I was like, oh my! And I saw it, and the moment happened. I've only teared up a few times in observing wrestling. I've only teared up a few times. First time I ever remember tearing up was when I watched G's on Impact for the first time. This is a kid. Like I said, took him under my wing, and to watch him on national TV on Impact, and then he wins his match. And then they let him talk. I'm like, I couldn't have been prouder of anybody. Then the moment when Kofi won, I teared up. And honestly, when Big E beat Bobby Lashley, I mean, it was predictable, but it was still a great moment because they had enough faith in how things are changing to make this go from one man of color to another man of color. And because I've seen the WWE, WWF, people have won championships and the next night they'll lose them. Right? Kane won the world championship from Stone Cold Steve Austin and dropped it back to him on the next night on Raw.
Yep.
Cardona, what was his name? Zack Ryder wins the
Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental title in that ladder match. Dropped it to the Miz.
Dropped it the next night. Yep.
I hated that.
Mean, and I said, are they going to miss this guy? And honestly, I didn't think Kofi was going to have as long a run as he did as a world champion.
I agree.
Because I said, okay, maybe they'll give him a month or 2, 3 months. And they even told compelling stories with him. The story with him with
Orton.
Orton. Oh my God, yes. And then everybody was so upset when he lost the belt to
Lesnar.
I said, you don't even realize what just happened. Lesnar could have taken him and brutalized him for 15 minutes. Threw him around, suplexed him, imposed his will, split him open if he chose to. And I said,
probably would have.
And I said, and the other thing was, do you remember that year, that very same year, Lesnar was in the Royal Rumble at number 1 as the champion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He obliterated everybody.
Except for McIntyre.
No.
And a low blow for Ricochet.
That too. But then there's 3 people he really, really didn't really go in on. Ricochet.
Keith Lee.
No, not Keith Lee. Ricochet, Rey Mysterio, and Kofi Kingston. And in fact, they kind of started turning the tide on him.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember Keith Lee came in after the fact, and he put up a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, and Keith Lee too. And that's another one that they don't even. When they said they announced the name change for Keith Lee, Bearcat. What's that? I'm like, and it's amazing to me. And I try not to be one of those guys.
He's paying
you don't
homage,
know anything
isn't
about. He's absolutely paying homage to Bearcat Wright, and it's amazing to me when people say, "I've been watching wrestling all my life since 2004." I'm like, oh.
Shit's been around for like 70 some years.
I said,
yeah,
you need to really do your due diligence, learn your history, learn about Bearcat, right? Learn about Bobro Brazil, learn about Pork Chop Cash, learn about Seaman Art Thomas. There's so many great Black performers, Sweet Daddy Siki, guys who you should know.
Sweet Daddy Siki, he trained Edge and Christian, didn't he?
Yes, he did in Canada. Yes, he did. And if you look at him, you see a lot of the mannerisms of The Rock. And that's another guy he worked with his dad a lot, with Rocky Johnson. So a lot of what you see The Rock do, Siki did in the 60s and 70s. You know, and I tell people, I said, you stop trying to make everything an SJW case. Oh, and don't get me wrong. I believe the representation matters in pro wrestling. I do. But everything isn't, oh, well, you know, you don't care about, but everything is not that. You know, and trust me, I absolutely believe that, you know, it's important that people of color, people of all walks of life should be represented in pro wrestling. But I hate when people make it, and I'm going to get in trouble when I say this. I know I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get tweeted and canceled or whatever. So what are you going to do? Not book me? So I think sometimes people, they use these platforms for their own. That's their lane in. You know, maybe you really don't care about these things. Some people honestly, legitimately do. You know, but there's some people who say, well, we got to do this so we don't get in trouble with such and such. Or we got to do this so we don't get in trouble with so and so. Listen, like me, the show that I booked is these are kids that I believe in. This is talent that I believe in. This is talent I believe needs to be seen. You know, these are people who I think have been marginalized and have really not had a chance. And I'm going to give them an opportunity. And I said, listen, I give you the opportunity. I give you the platform. You go out there, you show them what you got. I can't make you wrestle or not wrestle the way you want. I can't do that. But this is an opportunity for you to show and shine what you got. Shine and show what you got. You know, but I think honestly sometimes there was a company in Pennsylvania maybe 15 years ago called Pride Pro Wrestling, run by Eddie Valentine. Eddie Valentine's openly gay. And he was running an openly gay wrestling show. And he asked me if I wanted to be on the show. I said, you know, I'd be honored, but, you know, I don't think that, you know, who says, well, you can just protest. I don't want to do that, though. Because to me, I would feel like it would be an affront to what you're trying to do. For me to pretend to be something that I'm not. You know, I wouldn't want, and I say I appreciate you, but I have absolute respect for what you're trying to do. And I don't want to be a footnote that could possibly make you be seen as somebody who's not taking your cause seriously. You know, and I told him, and him and I actually ended up working together for quite some time in PWA in New York, and you know, absolute respect for one another. Like, you know, I respect. If you believe in what you say, I absolutely have absolute respect for it. I'm never going to vilify you. It's not about a phobia. I think that's such a misnomer. I think when you say you're this phobic or that phobic, I may not agree with your ideology or your lifestyle, but that doesn't mean I'm afraid of it or I don't think you have a right to speak. I don't believe that either. You know, I just may not agree with your ideology, and I'm not here to judge you. That's not my job, and that's why, you know, I see people like Effie and Billy Dixon and more power to them, because they're reaching out to their communities, and they're representing their communities, and they're successful at it, and they're damn good wrestlers, damn good performers, you know. And you know, I love the intergender bonanza. I just think there's so much, like you said, there's a smorgasbord. There's so much for whatever you like. You know, if you like the hardcore stuff, if you like the death match stuff, if you like the flippity flops, and you know, and nothing against them. I'm 51 years old. I wish I would do a flip. You know, it's just, you know, there's something for everybody, and there's so much out there. And I think if we all realize our power as a community, as pro wrestling, and instead of destroying one another, we uplifted one another and supported each other, wrestling would be an amazing force.
There would be a lot more new fans that would come in, because
absolutely.
I mean, I think fans from the outside still see wrestling fans as like the outcasts, as like weirdos. Yeah. But if everyone were to preach how actually good it is, I mean, you'd bring in a lot more fans.
So like we were saying, is if everybody would support one another and, you know, really, really would push to really uplift the sports, like we wouldn't have to worry about companies closing. You know, we wouldn't have to worry about, well, I'm going to get my 15 fans to come to this show and you can't go to that show because they don't like me or I don't like. It shouldn't even be that way. Like there's literally so many companies right in the area, like in South Jersey, and you literally could have something running once a week, supporting each other. Hey, I'm going to go support this show. And some of us are going to go to this show out here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Just support each other. Like, I'm really grateful to Super Crazy Pro Wrestling because I'm running in their building on the 13th, and I'm really, you know, I've been fortunate to be with them for the past 2-3 years, and they've been giving me a lot of support leading into this event. And I think everyone should come to that event, which starts at 12 o'clock, Surface of Doom 3. It's going to be a super packed show.
Where can people get tickets, Ron? For the
you can number one, follow the Twitter, Pro Wrestling R1 at Pro Wrestling R1. That's the Twitter, and also on the Instagram, Pro Wrestling R. You know, there's links on the event page for the Ticket Leap page. There's tickets on Ticket Leap. You can hit me up. Follow the Twitters, follow the Instagram. Hey, I want tickets. Let me know. We'll set it up. You know, we'll make sure you have tickets. You know, it's what I'll do is I'll make sure that I link you guys with the event page and the social media. Follow social media.
Yep.
You know, follow, share the event. You could get tickets at the door too. $20 for general admission, $25 for ringside. Kids 5 to 12, $10. I believe in, just come enjoy it. Come see a great show. Packed top to bottom. Like I said, Super Crazy's running at 12 o'clock. We're running at 7. And if you go to the Super Crazy show, you might be able to get discount tickets to our show.
There you go.
So come on, support wrestling. Right in Westville, New Jersey, 1030 Delsey Drive. Come to this. It's the Super Crazy Wrestling Entertainment Center. Great place to see wrestling. So much fun, and for the family, for the casual wrestling fan, for the hardcore wrestling fan, we got a little bit of something for everybody. More fun than watching Johnny Grunge leg drop New Jack through a press table. I mean, it's just so much fun stuff. Just something for everybody at these shows. And like I said, I got talent coming from everywhere. Matt Vertigo is going to be on the show. Adam Kane, Isaiah Wolf. I have something exciting. It's called the Lucky 7 Scramble. 7 of the best young flyers, young talent, all vying to win the prize. And of course, the main event, I'm facing off against Black G's, and I think in a match I've been looking forward to for the last 20 years. And it's going to be great. Matter of fact, on the whole show, the whole cards on the Twitter, Pro Wrestling R1. It's on the event page, Pro Wrestling R presents the definition on Facebook. You'll find the event page. Links for the tickets are on the event page, and there's also a Pro Wrestling R fan group. Join and discuss, and we're interactive. There's gonna be merchandise for sale. Come get a shirt.
My language.
Yep, there it is. Come get a shirt. Come get a picture. Come support indie wrestling.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So we will definitely be there. We can't wait. We haven't gone to a wrestling show in a little bit now, so I can't wait to actually go back to an event and get with the crowd and sit and watch wrestling live and in person again. So, but Ron, we can't wait.
I want to ring the bell. Let me ring the bell.
We'll talk about it.
Ron, thank you so much for coming on. It was great talking to you. Great seeing you again. And we'll be seeing you on the 13th.
I'll see you on the 13th. I'm so honored you guys are coming. Can't wait. Looking forward to it, brother.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.